Hello and welcome to Junior Achievement's virtual speaker series. Today we are going to be talking about being customer focused from the beginning to the end. And I am joined by Alfredo Ruiz, who is a realtor in Palm Beach County. Alfredo, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Claire.
Well, I know customer focused is key in what you do as a realtor.
Yeah.
But why is it important to approach a potential customer or situation with a professional attitude?
Well, attitude is absolutely everything, not only in my business, but any business. People will tend to judge you by just looking at you. And it takes most people take about 5 seconds to determine if you're a good person or a bad person, if you're a professional. Attitude is really everything in this business and any business.
So how does this help you become successful in what you do?
Well, I'm in sales, and most people are in sales. You can sell vehicles, you can sell groceries, you can sell real estate, like it is my case. And there has to be a connection. There has to always be a bond. Again, if you go to a restaurant and the waiter or the waitress is not very polite to you, if there's not a connection, your experience from the get-go is not good. And you already have that bad taste. So it is incredibly important to be able to connect with the individual, connect with the client, but also be genuine about it, right? You don't want to fake it. Because that's the other thing. You will find out very quickly somebody's working at it too hard if this doesn't come out naturally. So again, the human connection is incredibly important, not only in this business, but any business.
And you rely on a lot of referrals or word of mouth.
Absolutely. I mean, at the beginning, you have to find your clients, but once they get to know you and you have to follow up, that's another thing. I mean, once you make the sale, you also need to follow up with them. It's not like, let's make a sale and forget about them, because eventually they will have a family member or a friend or a neighbor, or even themselves will eventually buy a new house or buy a second home or move somewhere. And they will need your services sooner or later. So yeah, referrals is an incredibly important part of the business. And the most successful realtors that I know that have very large referrals is because they are good at what they do and they have very good people skills.
So can we talk a little bit about overcoming obstacles? I know you moved to this country when you were 17 and you did not speak English.
Correct.
So you had to learn English as a language too. I know you went to school here. You've obviously moved through your career pathway here. Can you talk a little bit about overcoming that obstacle?
Yeah, well, that was many years ago. I was very young. I was 17 years old. It was exciting times. I wasn't really fearful because I knew what I wanted. To me, I'm from Venezuela, but I also grew up in Spain. But United States was always the place where I wanted to come. And everything was so new and everything was so different, starting from the language. But it was exciting. Now, yes, it was difficult at first because obviously you want to communicate with people. You want to be able to understand them. And that was incredibly difficult. I mean, it's like me now going to China, right? But you have to go through the grind. It is a process that you have to go through, and you basically have to do the best you can every day. And I remember clearly there was a point where I had a dream in English, and I woke up and I was so excited because that was the breakthrough. Finally, the English was getting into my consciousness, and it was amazing. But there are obstacles everywhere and every day. I mean, as long as we live, we face obstacles. Back then was the language. Nowadays is finding new business or finding new clients. Tomorrow, who knows? But life is all about obstacles. And again, to be successful at overcoming them is having the right attitude.
And that's a great lead into the next question, because talking about obstacles, I mean, how do you handle conflict in a business relationship? Because when you meet people, you want them to have a good impression of you and to leave a good impression. But sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So in your line of work, how do you handle that?
That's probably the hardest part of my business, because we are interacting with individuals. And often I don't interact with just a single individual. I'm interacting with several of them, not just with the buyer or the seller, but there's always an attorney or perhaps a title company. There's another realtor involved, and personalities are always different. The interest of each party is different. And obviously everybody's looking at the issue at hand from their angle. And often that may be right or may be wrong. And sometimes what I try to do is I try to act as a mediator. I find myself in these situations where sometimes talking less says more. I found many years ago that one way to avoid conflict is by listening, by being able to listen to the person. I learned that sometimes people don't listen to each other and they start shouting at each other, and what happens is the other person will build a wall to protect themselves. So it doesn't matter what you tell them, they don't listen to you because you allow them to put that wall up. So the best way to minimize conflict is by shut up, listen to what they're trying to say, try to be in their shoes, and then try to make sense out of it. Because you know what? 50% of the times, I am wrong.
And I think that carries over into all aspects of everyday life.
Absolutely. I mean, it's you have conflicts everywhere, not just in business, but in our daily interactions with whoever, from the landscaping to the gas station. I mean, and we, in this society, we really need to learn how to listen. I know we hear this all the time, but it's really difficult to execute because we are sometimes very passionate about our feelings. We are very strong about our ideas, and we want to convey them at any cost. And that's really the wrong way of doing it. We have to listen to the other person. We have to listen to their point of view, and then we have to inject our point of view and really have a civil conversation. Once people start shouting at each other, it's game over. You may as well step away because it's not going to go anywhere. On the contrary, things are going to get a lot worse.
Yeah. And I think to recap, I mean, successful relationships leads to successful businesses, leads to success in life. So that's wonderful advice, Alfredo. Thank you so much for joining us today. I do appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.